everybody lies to themselves. You're easy to judge others, but then it's like, have you ever looked into yourself and realized the lies that you tell yourself that you might not even notice? It's really how you speak to yourself. The most time in this lifetime you will spend with yourself, with your physical form right now. Your own thoughts are always with you. It really does matter a lot more than we like to admit how we talk to ourselves. And that little voice in your mind, that's telling you you can't do it because, or if this was different, I would be doing this, but I can't because, and what happened, that's why I can't, and because, and I'm not devaluing all of that, but is it really the truth? Is that really the reason? Or might be a bit missing the truth of what's actually the problem, of what actually got to be addressed in order to make things work out. So that's what this is about. But what comes first to healing is always awareness. So the first step is admitting to the fact that you have not been, you have maybe not been the most positive person. You meet a stranger, you're so nice. Are you actually giving yourself that same type of kindness? Are you talking to yourself with respect? Are you talking to yourself like that? Or is it something that you don't even care about, right? And lies also count. You can tell yourself the most kind and humble lies. They're still lies. They're still dishonest. They're still not gonna get you anywhere, because one thing that these have in common is that they just make you feel stuck in the place you're at. And if you want progress and change, you're working on yourself, and you don't want the past to always catch up, that feeling that it just doesn't get better. Well, it starts within you, right? And one of those things is how you talk to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Stop lying to yourself, all right? So here's a couple lies that we tell ourselves. I can't do it. These people, they can do it. You open social media, they're all doing it, apparently. Your whole Reels feed is full of people who are doing it. Actually, they already made it. But you just can't do it. Some people just can't do it. Some people can. There's people that good things happen to. There's people that don't. I don't believe that. Of course, not everybody has the same circumstances. But it doesn't mean that you can't attract change in your life. So this is not true. This is just not true. And number one thing is obviously you don't compare. So the idea that you just can't do it is wrong. So whatever you do, if it doesn't work out, don't you dare tell yourself that you can't do it. Because if that's your way of thinking, you actually cannot do it. Yeah, that's true, right? It happens. Your thoughts turn into reality eventually, maybe. So be careful about that. Let's say kids jump into the water, right? Head first. And there's 3 kids. One of them can do it really well, and the other one is learning it, and the third one is struggling. Now, if you was the kid that's struggling, obviously you get to that point where you're like, oh, I can't do it. I don't even want to try anymore, right? Because it's just too uncomfortable to keep trying. But then, hey, maybe this kid is much, much better at something else, right? So the thought, I can't do it, is not going to get you forward, because that's going to make you stop trying. And when you stop trying, you're not moving. And, if you leave that flow state, you're not progressing. So if you really want it, you're not going to keep thinking, I can't do it. Every time you give yourself those conditions, like, oh, if I only was like that, if I only was like him or her, I could do all of this, right? Or if I had more time, I could do this, but I just don't. You know what? Make more time. If I had more money, I could do this and that. It's my favorite one. You know how much you can do with little money? That's just no excuse, all right? I know a little bit is what you need to start, but no, come on. Usually your mind is really good catering to you these ideas that you need something more. It's like if you buy one t-shirt and it's so on sale, like it's so cheap, you're like, oh, I'll get another one, right? So you're basically paying the same as you would if you bought it for the normal price. Now you have two. You only need one. You have two. You're probably only going to use one. You're not going to be happier because you have two. So what I mean is like, it's not, the if is something that you want more and you don't need more usually. Usually you can find a way to be fine with whatever you have right now and start it. Because the actual work is often free. Like, yeah, just like your thoughts, just like putting more positive thoughts into your mind, that's free. That's not going to cost you anything. Matter of fact, you can't even buy it, right? So if I had that job, I could do this and that. If I just knew some people, if I was connected in the industry, I would be much further ahead, right? All these things, it's just wrong. Like, I mean, those are kind of big thoughts, but it's definitely keeping you from even, trying and moving forward and all of that. And, best thing is, this is not something you have to discuss with anybody. It's just for yourself. Admit to yourself that this is a lie you've been telling yourself, because it's only keeping you from wherever you want to go. So since you don't need to discuss it with anybody, this is between you, yourself, and like just you. Me, myself, and I. You, yourself, and you. All right. That's what it is. So no need to hold back. Admit all your lies to yourself, right? Like there's always going to be this if. You could use it in every single situation. But you know what? Successful people probably did not do it. Another one is, I'm not good enough. So, you're not good enough for what? Like who says? Like maybe some people said that, yeah. But who defines what is good enough? Is anybody good enough out there? Because something like the perfect thing doesn't exist. So it's like that. It really is. So that's why one of my biggest things to push forward here is the message of not being perfect, but loving the progress, right? So I'm not good enough. It's just such a toxic environment if you are surrounded by people who give you that feeling. And I know it's hard when you have been. There's a lot of people having these thoughts, and sometimes you just got to distance yourself from those people because it travels. Everyone is saying they're not good enough. Well, you start thinking you're not good enough, right? If people tell you you're not good enough, yeah, that's what you're thinking. There's not that much motivation out there. That's why I lean towards YouTube. But hey, we have YouTube. Why not? If that's what it takes, why not? And especially if you're that type of positive thinker. Like if you're breaking these thought patterns that a lot of people around you maybe have, you realize even more how different you become. You're not good enough. It's not the reason, all right? There's no excuse. It's a harsh truth that if you tell yourself that you're not good enough, that's a good excuse to not even give it a try, right? That's a good excuse to go through life and just be a little bit more on the miserable side, right? But if you want something, that's not the way of thinking. You're gonna change that, all right? Another one, I'll do it later. It's not good enough yet. I'm not putting it out because it needs more work. Oh, now, actually, I'll start something else. I'm not even working on this anymore. This was not it. 10 years later, you still haven't put it out. It's like this thing, right? When they put two people they put a bunch of people into rooms. One of them, it's about art. It's like art class, right? So a couple kids in this room, they're supposed to create as many paintings as they can in this year. And the other ones are supposed to create 3 amazing, great paintings, pieces of art, whatever. Guess what? Who's better? The ones who keep going, who just, don't do it with perfection in mind. They don't do it to create that one painting that actually is the one. They just keep going. And that's just so true for everything. I don't know who put this idea in our mind. I'm thinking sometimes it's exams in school because we're studying and we're passing an exam and that gets us further ahead. But this is not life. Like, it's really like you do things and you keep growing while doing them, and nobody should even judge you, come close to you, you know? It doesn't even matter if your first 10 pieces of art were worse than the next few. Like, the term of judgment comes so early when there shouldn't even be. Art is free. It's just true. Like, judgment is holding you back in every single way. So that's just something we gotta free our mind from. Because if that's, what the people around us are doing, that still, you gotta free your mind from that. And it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy. If that's the environment you're in, people are judging you, might have to get out of there. But your mind is capable and your mind is so strong. It's incredible. So you can do it. And that's not a lie. You can do it. So another one. All right. So you're never going to say so you're not going to say this again. I'll do it later. It's not yet good enough. Is not a healthy thought pattern. Because truthfully, you're not going to do it later. And it's never going to be good enough. Oh, if I was told this earlier, I would have, but now it's too late. I realize the older I get, the more I realize how unhealthy it is, our sense of time. How unhealthy is it that you have to have achieved certain things by the age of 16, 18, 20, 21, even 30, 40, 50. It's just, it blows my mind that I remember I used to be that girl. I was 19 and I felt like I'm way too old. Everyone was younger, just because I was spending time with some 16-year-olds, I felt like I am so old. Now I'm looking back, you were 19. 19, you think you are too old. Yeah, that's what I thought. Then I was 21, I thought I'm too old to dance because people were 19. And that's just so painful to think back. I don't know. Nobody told me that, that's a wrong pattern of thinking. But it is. It is. Like, that's just a really unhealthy relationship with time because you actually have time. More than you think. Feeling trapped that you don't have enough time is so unhealthy. And it's just so bad. And anybody who puts this idea in your mind that you're too old for something, oh, let them go. Let them go. They're not going to be part of your life anymore if that's what they're saying. You don't need those people around you. Because that's some toxic shit, right? There's a lot of content out there doing this a lot better than I'm saying it, but it's true. All right. Now, also, this thought that, I have a tendency to, do this and that. I just have this habit of doing this and that are excuses. Or it's lies to yourself, because if you have a habit, you can change that habit. It's not something that you're born with and you can't change. It's a habit. You can change your habits. Actually, changing habits is much, much easier than you think it is, oftentimes. Just the first step of doing it for maybe a week or a month to create new habits might be a bit difficult. But changing a habit, it's not going to be an excuse, so you can't lie to yourself and say, I have this habit. I have this tendency to, Tendency. You have a tendency, yeah, because that's your thought. You already know that this is what you have, so you're actually taking your past experiences and, I did this, so I will do it again, so that's why you will do it again. So it's a toxic thought pattern. I'm just not allowing myself to think that way again, all right? I have a tendency to what? One thing is like, awareness gives you so much, but it's not yet healing, right? The first step to healing is obviously realizing things about yourself that need work. Awareness really gives you that much, but it's also, there's this little part of awareness that can turn into something that's not so healthy. And that's like being aware of your weakness. Let's say you got mood swings, right? Obviously, a lot of things come with mood swings. But if those mood swings are not in a pathological manner, which, let me just say that 90% out of, usually they can be worked out, all right? Worked on. It's like, oh, if you realize I have these mood swings, they might actually get worse, because you're like, oh, this situation, obviously I'm going to freak out because I have mood swings. I cannot handle my emotions, right? So if that's your thought pattern, it might get worse and you will continue having those. It's great to notice that something is not properly balanced in your life, but then you got to go one step further, all right? So you're not going to say, oh, I have mood swings, bro. Obviously I'm in a rage now. No, that's not it. You can work on your emotional reaction. That's how I like to call it. And obviously, no matter what some toxic people around us do, we gotta be able to control our emotional reactions. Better actually not react at all. So lately, I put this thought in my mind that if you have a really strong mindset, and I think that's something that should be a goal for everybody, right? Having a strong mind. That's so attractive. Like, if you have some balance in your life and you're actually the stronger person, not physically, mentally. Mental strength, anybody can work on that for sure. It's just not the obvious, right? So even if it gets uncomfortable at times, you can strengthen your mind and get to that mentally strong state. And therefore, when somebody, challenges you, when somebody rages out, whatever, if somebody wants a reaction out of you, they're not getting it because you are the stronger one. End of the day, they might say, oh, you're not even, they even get more mad because you're not reacting, right? But you are stronger than that because you're working on your strength of mind. That's my new way of thinking. Same goes for mood swings. Take this with a grain of salt. Neurodivergency and feeling unbalanced and having meltdowns and all of this, it is hard. I'm not saying anything. But I'm not saying that you can't get your life in order and make things better. Because if you just have that mindset, oh, I'm just having meltdowns, I'm just having mood swings, it's hard. It's not going to get better. So I'm always here to awareness first, but then you got to develop some healthy thought patterns. That's just what I'm thinking, right? It definitely helps. Like, truthfully, if you put up the strength, you're not going to react and rage out. So no excuses, no lies to yourself. Everybody has to train themselves to not emotionally react to other people's behavior, because there's always going to be toxic people around you that don't treat you the way you should be treated, that tell you things they shouldn't say, that provoke you, that want a reaction out of you. So no matter what, if you're the stronger person, you learn how to control your reaction and don't react to those people. So what I'm saying is, it's a lie that you tell yourself if you say no. I just react, I'm emotional. Sometimes you can be, that's okay, if it's little things, but if you have the strength to be able to control when you are reacting, because it doesn't matter, and when you don't, hey, that's what I like, because some situations do, you don't want to react, you want to walk away from the situation. Okay, so that's everything. It's just, it's not easy, especially admitting to yourself that you might not be so honest with yourself, right? It's hard, but it's the first step to be a stronger person. And in the end, it will feel better. It will feel better if you realize that, those little lies you've been telling yourself, those thought patterns you have, those thoughts that you have in your mind, are just not bringing you forward. They're holding you back, and just something I want to share today. So, all right. Whatever it is you're doing, make sure that you write your own story with your own pen. Don't let nobody tell you that you can't do it. That's everything, all right? Take care, and I hope I see you then in the next video.